Anisio, I think there was a miscommunication on my part. He assumed it was in
Yeah,
the night at 8
yeah, I'm
o'clock.
so sorry. I thought it was
Sorry
in the
about
night.
that.
Well, it's because nobody is meeting at 8 a.m., you know.
Yeah,
I, I guess except us. And apologies, this is due to the time zone issue with me. Okay, I mean, based in Taiwan. Okay, so yeah, nice to meet you, Anizio.
Thank you. Thank you so
um,
much.
Okay, yeah, and thanks for joining, you know, be willing to join and
Yeah.
at least to understand, okay, about what we're doing. So I think maybe Victory, maybe you can start with I guess, with some intro.
okay.
Yeah,
Some intro. Okay, I'll do my best. So Anisio, I think we spoke about it recently. So we're basically trying to develop a decentralized world. I think it's already there, but there's a library called Vast, which was developed by Shenyun, and this library basically takes into account something called the Voronoi overlay, where you have nodes communicating with one another through some form of pub sub architecture. And please correct me if I'm wrong, Shinyan. And
no,
the idea behind
correct.
this libraries, yeah, so the idea is or should I say where I come in, or should I say where some students come in now, is we are trying to take that library, that source code, and try to see how we can make it into a practical application. So in
Mm.
my case, I'm looking at something called spatial PubSub. So the idea is there's a standard PubSub which I know you're familiar with, but then deploy it in a decentralized, or should I say, a spatially distributed, decentralized architecture. I hope I defined that right. Yeah, but so the idea, so that's where something I come in, for example, where I'm trying to basically just see what we can do in terms of in an IoT space, for example, something that can work across multiple tech spaces. And an example would be IoTs, where you have a factory, for example, or an industry, a company, or a logistics company, and you have all these
Yes.
robots, and basically you want them to communicate with one another rather than connecting to a central server somewhere. We also have other students, Alita, I think a new student who recently joined, who I think her application is looking at, deploying the library for an Uber system, for example. So a delivery system, or, a transportation structure where, you have this decentralized system of taxis, over a spatially distributed region, say Cape Town, for example. And instead of all of them connected to one central server, they are connected basically to one another. They have some sort of decentralized communication structure with the vast library. And I don't know if I missed out anything.
Okay,
I think
that's good. That's
where,
good. Okay, I think we can fill
yeah.
in the rest.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
no worries. Yeah, thanks, Victory. And I think, yeah, before we start, maybe it's also good for we know about Anizio, and also for Anizio to learn about Herman and I, right?
Yeah.
So, Herman, you like to, I guess, to a quick self-intro about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm a lecturer at Stellenbosch University. I head up the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. And I've known Xunyun since about 2010, when I met him at a conference in China. Actually, his PhD student met him first in, I think, 2009 in Taiwan, I think.
Yes, that's right.
And we were interested, and still are interested, in the metaverse, massive multi-user virtual environments. Something which I think there is one of the big tech billionaires recently also mentioned the metaverse. I saw something like that the other day, which was very exciting. Anyway,
Okay, nice.
but yeah, so I've been doing some work in scalable virtual environments and things like that. with Minecraft and stuff like that. And then Shunyun, during that time, as part of his PhD, developed something called Spatial Publish Subscribe, and VAST, which is a decentralized routing algorithm for spatial PubSub. And then a couple of years ago, in the meantime, he left and started a startup called Immunology, amongst other startups that he's involved in. Yeah. And then a couple of years ago, Shunyun contacted me again and said he wants to collaborate again. He's got some more time than in the past. And then we started off with working together. And we've basically been working on Spatial PubSub and trying to get a library going. So what we actually want in the end is we want this library to basically be part of the network internet infrastructure. So in the same way that you've got MPEG-Dash for adaptive bitrate streaming, which is what everyone is using nowadays, basically, and in the same way you've got TCP/IP or the Ethernet as a protocol of the internet, we want Spatial Publish Subscribe to be something which, if you're doing IoT, or if that type of communication where spatial or region information is important, we want Spatial PubSub to be the thing that you're going to use. That's part of the backbone of the internet.
Great. Good. Thanks, Herman. All right. So is my voice all right? I'm Nelson.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So also hope this is not too overwhelming for you, Anizio. But
no.
just
Well, a little bit.
Okay. A quick background about
It's
myself.
exciting.
Okay. Yeah. Hope this gets you excited. That's our purpose, sir. Okay. Basically, I started playing games at age 7. Okay, computer games, and then started learning programming at 14. And wanting to become a programmer, a game developer of virtual worlds. But I ended up in graduate school, okay, like Herman, and ended up taking a PhD. But, trying to blend the two together, I sort of discovered my own niche of research, which is how do you build the next generation of virtual world, okay, where there potentially can be millions, if not billions, of concurrent users, okay? And obviously that is not the current architecture can support. So, we were thinking about how to decentralize this, right? I'm sure you heard of peer-to-peer, P2P, such as Skype, right? Some file sharing networks, right? And all those. And I think the latest peer-to-peer network that's of fame is Bitcoin. Okay, it's actually also a peer-to-peer network, okay? I mean, all these blockchain things, it's also peer-to-peer. So you see that it has the advantage of scale and being affordable, right? And also can be a lot more community driven, okay? But I started my company in 2011. That's the first company Herman mentioned, in hope to basically produce some technology, okay, that can, sort of utilize the research in the scalable virtual world space. And ended up doing, I would say, the mission of that is to create time freedom for people, right? Like right now, I think you're outside too. In an idealized world where virtual world becomes common, we can live anywhere we want. We can collaborate with, any people around the world, right? Like what we're doing right now.
Yes.
But probably with virtual worlds, it's a lot more than just video, we can actually immerse, right, in a kind of a metaverse environment. Okay, so that's what Immunology is about, and I'm trying to move towards that. And I also did a second company called JCF, which is just one sentence. It's trying to make basic income universal by building up a social impact fund, investing in cryptocurrencies. Okay, so that's something, if you're interested, that's a different topic. But essentially, I consider myself a social entrepreneur. Okay, I want to solve some of the social challenges that we're facing now, like wealth inequality being one, access to work, especially remote work, that being another, to gain time and place freedom, and to collaborate to create. basically more freedom by through entrepreneurship. Okay, so I consider myself a social entrepreneur in that regard. And the project that we're working here now, I would say it has a very important social aspect. Okay, so I think Victor already mentioned that, and he might have mentioned this to you as well, which is we know Uber, right, has been massively successful, and it has changed a lot of things, right? I mean, the industry, not to say the taxi, but also food delivery, a lot of things. But it's a private company, okay, and it's realizing this value through collecting a lot of data on its server, okay, and basically they can, I mean, they obviously benefit from all those data, okay.
Yeah.
So I think a use case and a question is it possible to sort of offer an alternative infrastructure that is open, that is community driven, that is not belonging to any private company, okay, you see, but still offering the same capability like what Uber can do, which is, you know, matching up people, things, deliveries on spaces, okay? And we believe that there's a way to that. And that happens to be the research, you know, we sort of, Herman and I, we started working on for games, interestingly. The research we did for games, you know, turn out at the fundamental sense of virtual, you know, online games is about spatial data. You publish spatially and you subscribe spatially, right? That's sort of what, I mean, at least these online games or space-based, and also location-based service, LBS, like what Uber is doing. So I would say that we are trying to, you know, see if we can build up using our previous research and really build up an open implementation for that and offer for communities of people or entrepreneurs who can build services on top of that and maybe provide a more public form of Uber. Okay. All right. So I would characterize our current effort that way. All right. And this is why we need more people like you to join us, okay, to see any aspect we can make this bigger and more impactful, okay? Because obviously I think you see the social benefit, right? And also both in terms of privacy and also access to opportunities, right? For this, okay? So that's a bit of background. And I'd like to, you know, learn about you as well. Okay, so maybe
Okay.
a quick intro about
So
yourself
I'm,
as well. Yeah.
Yes, I have been a software developer for the past, what, I think 10 years. And I've been all over the show, from companies for embedded system to high performance TCP servers for time sensitive networks, to now payments company now.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have, well, originally I studied oil engineering, right? Drilling and production of oil in Angola. Then I came here in the hopes to you know, to pursue the same field, graduate and then maybe postgraduate one. When I get here, there was no university that would offer oil, you know, related courses. So I did mechatronics. Then after that, I did robotics and remote engineering. Then I was like, okay, enough about PCBs and circuit boards. Let me do software. So now that's what I do. I joined a company that does TSN, which is time sensitive networks for the automotive industry. It would service companies like Porsche, many of the German big car manufacturer companies. Now I'm doing payments. So throughout my journey of software development, I've worked in a vast array of languages: Python, C++, C, Python, which is Python and C in between, Bash for Linux, and so whatever tool I need to do the job, I'll just learn and do that. Java and then now Go. And Flutter
wow.
now. I'm learning Flutter. So yeah, in all of them, I've concentrated more on the TCP libraries for them, right? And well, I did vast, well, not vast, but a project on ZeroMQ. I don't know if you have heard of that. Well, I used ZeroMQ library, specifically the PubSub.
I
matter.
see.
Which is
Zero
also
MQ. Are you talking about zero
Zero-
MQ?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
see.
yeah.
So you're
I've
familiar with
worked
the
with that.
PubSub paradigm as well, right?
Yes,
Uh,
yes. So that's basically me.
Okay,
In a
nice, nice.
Cool.
I can see that you're experienced hacker from your description.
Well,
One
at
question
one
I'd
point
like
I
to
wanted
ask.
to be.
Yeah, well, you are definitely on the path. You know, you're definitely a hacker. You know, if you are, you know, exploring so many different tools, languages, things.
Yeah.
One question I have is, I mean, what do you
Yes.
consider as your core strength? Okay, like what are you best at?
Yeah. In
From
terms
your
of
own perspective, yeah.
yeah. Well, in terms of networks, and in terms of language, I don't know if it's if it's Python or C++ now, because I've been working mainly in C++ for well, since I'm working in the payment environment, so it needs to be secure and all of these things. So
Okay,
I
okay.
think yeah, I think C++, networking, and yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay. And I guess what is your interest though? I mean, how would you say your core interests are? Like
Yeah,
what are you
my core
you're most
interest,
likely, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I've been working, well, I've been discussing and slash working with a friend who's also very much into communities, right? So my my dream also is to bring up a little bit of equality in the social, because the current status quo, it's bound to to crash, and I'm talking about the social
Well,
is crashing, right? So the technological is also bound to happen. You know, um, so I'm really into. Funny enough, I visited a community that they have their own, if I may say, their own banking system that works on talents, right? So if you have, if you, they have like a centralized banks where you don't pay with fiat money, but you pay with talents. If you have something like a skill to offer, you just you say, okay, I can offer these, and then you just go, and now and then they organize this market where you can actually go and you just give your reference number, and then you take things.
okay.
But yeah, and well, it's based on trust and talent offering ecosystem. It's really amazing. It's a community based thing. So these are things that I like to do,
I see.
social
So
and
basically you're interested to use and leverage your technical skills
yeah,
for
yes,
social impact or to improve some of the
exactly.
society's current aspects.
Yes.
Okay, nice. All right. Then I think, you are a great match for what we're trying to do,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, no,
And
truly.
how did you and Victory, I guess, how did you guys meet? And what's your story?
Yeah, we studied together. at some point, right, Victor?
Yeah, we basically studied mechatronics together.
Yeah.
So the first few years of my first year through my third year or fourth year, I think.
Oh, I see.
together.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
And then we sort of lost touch during my master's,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then we found each other again, I guess, sometime last year. That's
Yes.
8
Okay,
months ago or
nice.
so.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
great.
Good. All right. Okay. Thanks. All right. So I think thanks for that background. All right. I think I'd like to learn a bit more about you as well. So I think this is what we can. Right now, the format we have is we have previously twice a week, but now it's 4 times a week. Okay. We are basically helping Victoria to both with the research and also the implementation part. But you know, the reason why we have asked Victoria to find people and maybe to invite is we feel that the implementation part we might need more help. Okay, to be on this. And I think we can start by having you to join us. You know, maybe at your convenience. But and by the way, oh yeah, all our discussions are recorded. Okay, for data reference. So I also like to confirm with Anizio that would that be all right for you?
No, that's perfect. That's
Okay. All right. Okay. So essentially, I think what we can do is to invite you to join our sessions. Okay.
Yeah.
As you see fit. Okay. As it fits your schedule. And then you need not like join every time, but see what works for now. But I think at least
Yes.
once a week. Okay. To
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to see what's happening. And then to see first what we are doing, working with Victoria for now, okay? And then I think something will emerge as some aspect that maybe you will find interested to help.
Yeah.
Okay, to help
Yeah.
out, all right? Okay. So I think we can go into our regular sync now. All right, okay, this is, we take some time for the introduction, okay, to learn about each other. But, right, and usually these sessions last about just 30 minutes. Okay, it's half an hour, okay? All right, so Victoria, you like to, I think we can just start and also get Anizio an idea about what we usually work on, okay? Sorry, Anizio. So Victoria, you like to update? Okay, yeah, thanks. You might need to unmute, Victoria. I think you are still muted.
Sorry about that. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a bit of implementation delay. For starters, I'm trying to use SymPy. It's or SymPy. I'm not really sure how it's pronounced, but for some reason, SymPy has serious compatibility issues with Python 3 and works only well with Python 2. The other question I had was basically with the RabbitMQ. Is it just a queuing layer, or does it have this networking layer added to it?
So if I understand correctly, it has queuing, but it also has a networking layer. So I mean, so RabbitMQ and ZeroMQ. I mean, Anizio has experience with ZeroMQ, so they're kind of two ways of doing it, or two of the very well-known queuing libraries which are out there. So I'm not married to either one of them. So if you find that ZeroMQ works better for you, that's fine as well. But for what you were doing at the moment, I was actually thinking just focusing on the queuing aspect, and then you can just add the networking aspect into it as well at some point.
Yeah, okay. Because I saw with this RabbitMQ, it had some form of network deployment to localhost. So it was a bit, but it's fine. I just want to show this quick structure, if that's okay.
Okay,
just
sure.
to confirm. So I think it was yesterday I was reading about voice over IP, and I sort of got, inspiration from that, where, you have, you have a message recorded as an audio, maybe on your phone, and then it's sort of converted to packets and deployed over the internet. And then, when the receiver receives the message is decrypted from packets to message. So there's like a format that sort of decrypts and encrypts. before the receiver gets the voice. And I was thinking of using the exact same thing in the pub sub. So there's some sort of message to packets converter function at the pub layer level, as well as packets to message at the matcher level that decrypts and sort of sends that to sub. That's in terms of the flow of messages now. And from an interface perspective, I wanted to be sure that this is right. So from what I understand, from the interface perspective, is maybe this, I'm just saying this is like a simple, structure now where you have the pub, the interface is receiving the ID, the channel, and the message, and then there's some form of packets, just packet decryption going on here, and then also a network interface here that sort of basically connects to the matcher, and this information is sent. You have the ID and channel and the message sent as packets to the matcher. The matcher decrypts the message and then forwards the relevant packet to the relevant subscriber, if that makes sense.
Okay,
And then
yes.
the idea behind this was the API, or should I say the interface, does some form of polling to constantly check the the publishers or the publisher list for new publish requests.
Okay. Well, I'd like to add that first from matcher to subscriber. Okay. Now, I think to let Nizio to know a bit of background.
Okay.
Right now, we are implementing a channel-based PubSub, okay, using Python. And this is just to, try to get a hand of how it works and then extend that to spatial PubSub. So for Victory, I think you'd also have to have a layer similar to what you have on left between matcher and subscriber. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
There's also a similar, also interface that probably should sit between the two. Okay. And
Okay.
say, and whether it's a polling or some other mechanism, I think that's it's not really needed. It's more like the publisher pushes the message to the matcher.
Okay.
So it's a
So-
unidirectional. But in terms of how the publisher will receive message from the matcher, you could have a polls mechanism or a subscribe, or it could be a WebSocket, it could be a socket, it could be, and basically any bidirectional message flow will work.
Okay.
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 Yeah. So I guess that's a feedback. And
Yeah.
I think yesterday, sorry, is Harman wanted to say something?
No, continue, Shimin.
Okay. And yesterday, I think what we wanted to see was that you developed sort of a interface abstraction, right? If you recall that
Yeah.
that can take like connect, send requests, okay, or maybe register a receive for message received, kind of like a callback.
Yeah.
That is at the publisher, okay, and also the subscriber, okay.
Okay.
So is that something you've done? Sort of
So just to get this right, so what you were basically saying was the API, or should I say the interface now, is implemented on the node level and not necessarily as a different what's the word, should I call it function? Not function per se, because what I was thinking was, you have the node that basically gets the ID and everything, you have the matcher that does the matching process, and then you have the interface. This the idea behind the interface was to connect, like create some form of connecting A to B, if that makes sense, or connecting the node to
yes,
the matcher.
you can think of interface as something that allows the message to communicate between the nodes. Okay.
Yeah.
Between the nodes, and the node can be either a publisher, a subscriber, okay, and but also a matcher. Okay, if you like, you can define these three roles there. So you have a publisher, you have I mean, it can be physically the same node even, okay, but in terms of the roles, they're separate. Okay, and the
Oh, yeah.
abstract network interface is the layer that allows communication between the three different roles.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So the
So
what?
in that, sorry, sir. Go ahead.
So the way I think about it is you have a Python networking class, right? And
Yes.
that Python networking
Yes.
class has a number of functions, one which is connect, one which is send packet, one which is, I guess, potentially receive packet. And
Yes.
basically all your nodes include that class and just call this function with the specific parameters. Okay. And all the
Okay.
details regarding whether it's TCP and UDP or whatever, that actually happens inside of that class. And your nodes doesn't know the implementation details. So then you're
Okay.
free to change those implementation details as you want without actually having to change the code which is already written in your classes. So then if you've got a simulation layer where you've got all the, and you know who's connected to who, then your networking class is the thing which knows those connections and can simulate it and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect. So the idea is, you have this network, call it class, right? Or object, right? Yeah, network class. And then the node is simply calling that class at this layer now. It's just calling and pointing the calls to the right, ID and channels. And okay.
So you can think about when you set up this simulation that you have, then you're going to, right at the start, you're going to create this network class with a specific instance or implementation of it that you have. And then your node will, get a reference to that networking class. And whenever your node wants to send a message to, when a publisher wants to send a message to the matcher, it would just say, okay, here's my message, here's the channel, here's the matcher's ID, and then you would just say network.send, and then you give the matcher's ID and the message and the channel to it. And then, that class then makes certain that it gets delivered to the node, which is the matcher.
Okay. So Victor, is that all right?
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay.
Makes
All right.
complete sense.
So okay, so I think yeah, as next step, okay, as a next step, again, try to build that network abstraction, okay, and also I think with the message queue thing, actually you can use arrays to mimic the effect of a queue for now.
Arrays.
Arrays, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I mean, queues is just an advanced form of array, right? if you look at it that way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I assume it's. I mean, in JavaScript, array you can put stuff in, take stuff out in order, right? Whether the last one or the first one, that's essentially what the queue is doing, right? Obviously, these queues have more advanced features, but in the simplest form, it's an array. So
Yeah.
I also suggest that, just to make things easier, don't get stuck on whether you want to use Rabbit, MQ, or other queue for now, zero queue. Just use an array, to store the message and to pop message out, right, for processing.
Yep.
And then use that to build a simulated network layer. Okay, for now. Okay. We can always add the additional capability of a queue system later. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's try to get to the core of stuff. Okay. So would that be all right for tomorrow?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I see
Okay.
what you
All
mean.
right. Okay. All right.
Gonna create the abstract,
Mhm.
basically the
Right.
abstract
Right.
network
Yeah.
interface.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks.
Cool.
All right, so thanks. And I think for Inizio, if possible, maybe Victory, you and Inizio can discuss, maybe find some time to discuss about how the two of you might want to work together. Okay, and what are something that makes sense? For example, like whether the actual physical network layer is something, we can ask Inizio to help, right, through the actual TCP IP network. Because if the interface is the same, then once we have, we just simply replace the implementation and it can become, TCP IP network capable. I mean, that is one
Precisely.
direction, right? But I
Yeah.
think there are other directions, and you can also share with him some of the current resources, pages, or I guess papers or VASP implementation. Maybe I think Anizio can do a quick survey first to see what is currently being available. There is a C++ version of VAST and also a JavaScript version of VAST. Okay, I think Victory knows them, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I
Okay.
will share
So,
all of them.
right. I think maybe this is for Inizio to first survey and check out. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And
Okay.
what do you think about Herman? What do you think of inviting Inizio to join our Slack channel?
Yeah,
Would
that's a
that
good
be
idea.
good
I'll do
idea?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Okay.
Someone just needs to send me his email address, and then
Yeah,
I can
okay.
invite him to the Slack channel.
All right. I'll get.
Okay.
I'll
All
get
right.
his email
So
address.
Inizio, is that all right? I
Yeah.
also like to know. I mean, are you? Is the discussion okay so far?
Yes, it is.
Making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you can catch most of this. As someone experienced with network programming. Maybe this looks to you just a piece of cake. It's I don't know.
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah,
Not
maybe.
really.
Yeah, but I guess the part maybe you might want to learn and study a bit first is about what exactly is a spatial PubSub, right? Compared to the
Yes.
channel-based PubSub, what's the main difference, and how are we going to scale it up using a decentralized approach? I think those are probably the conceptual aspects. I'm sure you are very experienced engineering wise. And those probably are the place you might want to catch up first. Okay, or maybe want to do some study. Would that be all right?
Yeah, that would be all right.
Okay, all right, okay. All right,
Cool.
so I
Thanks.
think that's it. All right, so let's wrap this up, and Victory will sync again tomorrow, okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, and
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you
all
so
right,
much.
so thanks, and very nice to meet you,
Thanks.
okay? And
Yeah, likewise.
hope you learned
Thanks,
a lot
Anizio.
and also had a lot of fun. Okay, by joining us. All right,
Cool.
thanks.
Cool,
Thanks.
man.
All right,
Cheers, everyone.
bye-bye. Yeah, cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
We'll talk later, Anizio.
Yeah.